People have always called this microscope as my girlfriend because of the amount of time I spend caring for it every day in the morning. Hi, my name is Dr. Sanjay Arora and welcome to my YouTube channel. As a pathologist, microscope is perhaps the most endeared, loved piece of equipment that a pathologist can own. When I was studying during my days at Grand Medical College, my first teacher in pathology, Dr. Karve, helped me procure a microscope from the scraps that lay within the department to make a very good quality microscope, which did not have a light source as this one has. It had a mirror which would be used as a light source. But Dr. Karve taught me the importance of having a good microscope and how to look after it. That has remained with me for my entire life. When I was training in the US under Dr. Keeney, she told me that I will not charge you anything for the training, only on one condition: if you buy a microscope of my choice. She believes is of high quality, then I can put her learnings into good practice. So when I was studying with her in Henry Ford Hospital, she helped me select a microscope that would be good for my use. So when I came back June of 1994, before starting Suburban Diagnostics, I found that this microscope was not present in Mumbai. There was a research lab in Pune that had this microscope. So I remember traveling by buses that used to take us from Mumbai to Pune at that time. I went with the distributor of this microscope and saw the microscope and said, okay, fine, this is the one I want to buy. So before I had even set up the lab, I had decided this is the microscope that I want. This microscope is the Olympus BX40. When I purchased it in 1994, it cost me a little under 2 lakhs. Today, the price would be maybe between 5 and 6 lakhs, but for me, this is priceless. This microscope became an extension of my eye, helped me in making amazing diagnosis, picked up conditions, early cancer diagnosis, picking up malaria, anemia. There's so many different conditions that I picked up with the use of this microscope. And like I said in the beginning, I would start my day as Dr. Karve had taught me on how to take care of the microscope. So I would spend about 15 minutes every day in making sure the microscope was clean, all the lenses were clean, all the parts of the microscopes were well lubricated, the light bulb was in the right focus, everything was just perfect. And then I would start. This process of taking about 15 minutes was observed by people around me, and they would say, don't disturb him because he's with his girlfriend. And he takes this much time to really look after the microscope. Even people in my family used to say that I wish I was your microscope, then you would take this much care of us. I continued to use this microscope during my entire career. For a brief period in between, I gave it to one of the pathologists who was working with me. Unfortunately, during that period, one of the lenses developed some fungal infection. I had to get that lens replaced and bring another eyepiece. For me, it was like an amputation of my own body, that I had to, cut out a part of my body and replace it with another one. I made sure that I never give this microscope to anyone, and I took it back, and it remained with me for my entire career. But when my daughter got selected to do her MD in pathology at Tata Hospital, I felt this is the time now when the microscope can move to better hands and better eyes. So the day she got selected, I brought this microscope back from the lab and I gifted it to her. And she had tears in her eyes because she knew what this microscope meant to me. But I gifted this microscope to her so that now the legacy can continue with somebody who's younger, smarter, more intelligent than I am, to make better diagnosis for times to come. One of the pet names given to me during my residency days is Stools. And the name Stools is because they felt, what is a pathologist? A pathologist is somebody who sits behind a microscope on a stool to examine a sample of stool. That's how my pet name remained Stools for many years. I also want to thank DSS or Darbara Singh and Sons for the immense support in making sure that this microscope remains in the best condition over the last 30 years. Thank you, DSS. This microscope reminds us of looking after the things that are important in our lives. If you look after the things, they will give you returns multifold. So whatever you are dependent on, whatever piece of equipment, make sure you look after that equipment, take care of that equipment, because it will give you back those returns. This microscope will remain like a legacy item in my family, and I hope it will continue to make big impact in the lives of people to come. Thank you.